So something I'm seeing is the importance of nuance. And when we're in willingness to bring nuance to the table and also willingness to pause and listen to others' nuance, we're able to realize that we agree on so much more than we are manipulated to believe. Red and blue, left and right was created only to keep us divided. So if you're saying, I lost another to politics, this has nothing to do with politics. This is about ethics, morals, and values. Just watch how enablers are talking, falling back on easy excuses. We don't need to judge them or shame them. We need to talk to more people that are stepping into willingness. This is how we create change. If you're on a side and your neighbor is on a different side, it would be wise to compare notes. Once we grasp, they want us sick, they poison the water, the food, our minds, our children's minds. They do not want to protect us. Once we can grasp this, then we can start working together to compare notes to find the truth, not what just fits the narrative that makes us feel most safe, most relaxed. Guys, when I was a little girl, I remember it so vividly, maybe around 5 years old, and I would watch my dad arguing with our neighbor about politics, and I would, I was reading the energy, and it would be like, wah, 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 wah. And I would visualize in my mind puppet hands above them with strings attached, puppeting, and I would think, whoever's doing this to them is really good at it. It wasn't them speaking, like they weren't speaking from their hearts, it was just regurgitation. And back then I could see people's auras very, very clearly. I had not yet been conditioned, and I was very intuitive. Now I can still see the same exact thing happening, that we are puppeted, we're pawns. We're just being used in this game to keep distracted from the horrible things that are going on behind the scenes. I'm in a leadership group called the Steward Circle, and the leader of this group, Zach Alexander, it might have been maybe 8 months ago, he ran a poll, and it was fascinating to see when the results posted, we all agree on so many things. But because people are choosing a side and just blindly following it, we're being duped so easily. And those in charge are very happy about this. This is the goal. When we zoom out, it's easy for us to hear when people say, oh, well, they should stay at home or they can expect to get shot. It's easy for us to hear that as, I would have turned a blind eye while slavery was happening. I'm not grateful that women can have credit cards. I think everyone should turn a blind eye. There should be no peaceful protesting. There should be no one speaking up against oppression and abuse. But when we talk further, we see that that's actually not what people are saying. They're not suggesting, I wouldn't want my son to help a woman if they were thrown into the street. It's so important that we are taking a moment to regroup and get centered before we have these conversations. And I guarantee if you step into willingness to collaborate, you're going to see that we agree on almost everything. I think it's safe to say everyone wants criminals off the street. I think it's safe to say we want it done peacefully as to not traumatize everyone around. I think it's safe to say that we don't want people impeding and throwing their bodies in between ICE agents and people that they are attempting to detain. I think it's safe to say that we all believe that if somebody is trying to get in the way, they can be restrained and handcuffed and put off to the side, put into a vehicle. A family doesn't need to lose a child. I think it's safe to say we all agree that we should be able to exercise our freedom of speech peacefully and peacefully protest. I think it's also safe to say that when people are saying, oh, well, they're all pedophiles, what can we do about it? And then you talk to them further, gently, lovingly, with respect, they don't stand behind pedophilia, rape, and murder. And as we know, if you've listened to the Sasha Riley tapes, we know that Trump is very happy to rape and murder many, many children. The most tame things that I heard on those tapes was about him at a party one night and really felt urged to murder, and they said, well, there's puppies here. He snapped one's neck, he cut one open, watched it bleed out, and he loves to see people being tortured. It brings him so much joy. People or animals, he loves this.
Held one under some water to kill it. He wanted to kill those puppies in whatever gruesome way, to experience, I guess, seeing them suffer in different ways. What his kink is, I guess, if you want to call it that, is watching people suffer. He likes to destroy people physically, mentally, during the process of the assault.
So what kind of people do you think that he is hiring to support him? I think it's also safe to say that if these were honorable men, these ICE agents, of course all of us would say, hey, respect these men, they're doing their jobs. But that's not the truth. Many of these men were from the Israeli army or were trained by the Israeli army. We know that the Israeli army has been committing a genocide the past couple years. They do not give a fuck about rape and murder and torture. They love it. And we see that these ICE agents are excited to murder. They're clapping. They're joyous. They think of this as a game. We hear them saying, this is like Call of Duty. They love it. We have now heard ICE agents openly admitting to raping women that are being detained. We now have boys saying that their testicles are being squeezed until they are bursting. This is not honorable men doing a job, so they do not deserve our support. But I agree that we do not need to be impeding and putting ourselves in harm's way, but we do need to be using our voices. When we are saying we should just stay home, turn a blind eye, this is the language of enablers, abusers' assistants. And as someone that walked away from an abusive, toxic family system, I know this too well. I know when I spoke to a person in the last 6 months that is an enabler of the abuse in my family, they said to me, very genuinely, I know that this person's a liar. Just don't take it so personally. I can't have a person around me and every time I'm confident, their ego is so fragile and triggered that they need to make up new tales about me. Every time they see that my emotional intelligence is high, they get so triggered they need to make up new tales about me. I can't have that in my life, but I can see the same language being used. Just take it. Just don't take it too personally. Just turn a blind eye. When we start saying that, we're saying we are enabling and support abuse. So we really need to move away from, well, if he just stayed home, it's too easy. There needs to be nuance and deeper thought. And if you're not open to it, that's okay, but say that instead of just hurling these excuses, because it's understandable why that can be so triggering for people that have so much empathy and compassion. And I can understand also why it's so triggering for those that don't have as much empathy and compassion or are following the narratives that are being forced down their throat. I can understand why they see people that are all emotional as just people that can't control themselves. But when we have nuance brought to the table and the willingness to listen, we agree on so many things, guys. We also know that they want us divided and dysregulated. So let's really be something that I do literally every day. I watch these otters. Something comes over me. When I see otters playing together, I like to watch their mannerisms, their habits. I watch these two otters this guy posts on YouTube and I get so happy and this brings me a lot of joy. So really be finding the things that fill your heart because we cannot just be overwhelmed and drowning in all the pain, but we also can't turn a blind eye to it. That enables the abuse. Let's remember how blessed we are that people did speak up against slavery, that people did speak up against women not able to vote, own a credit card, able to rent their own apartments. We need to rely on people speaking up because that's where change happens. But of course, we need to be doing this peacefully. I think we can all agree on that. And I also highly encourage dancing. It really helps move through the emotion. I don't mean bypassing the emotion. We got to feel these things, absolutely. But dancing really helps move the emotion through. So that's something I've been incorporating into every day, and it's really been able to help me come back to center. And then I can actually speak with clarity and listen with clarity without creating more divide. So just really allowing yourself to take part in activities that bring you to your heart space, that make you feel really grounded, at peace. I know it's not easy, but it's so important. It's vital that we do this at this time. We don't need to be drowning in pain. It will get us nowhere. So let's try to step into willingness if we can, to listen and to speak with nuance instead of throwing out excuses, because people absolutely are taking them the wrong way. Upon further discussion, we are finding we have so much in common. Love you guys.